You lot, raise your glasses. This one's for Paul, Phil, and the Paranormal Soul Brother. Paul's got a torch and a tradies belt. Swears that he felt a cold hand on his bum. Phil's in the kitchen with a GoPro helmet, shouting, "Come at me, spirit, you cowardly scum!" Soul Brothers burning the bargain bin sage, reading vibes like a busted old gauge. Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, three brave idiots and a busted van. Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, chasing bad vibes round the caravan. If your house feels weird and your dog won't stay, they'll rock up drunk and scare it away. Ghost wankers, ghost wankers, best worst hunters in the whole damn land. Oh, yeah.
All right, tonight a special guest is Phil Diacero and Paranormal Soul Brother and me. And we're going to talk about the loss of fame. Okay, so all three of us here that you're looking at, we all touched upon fame. And I'll talk for myself. I lost it. So what do you guys think about this?
I think your story and Zandine's story is going to be more powerful than mine. I only had a very brief experience, and it was very localized. And like I said, I had the feeling of it briefly for about a few hours, whereas Zandine was on television, and you were the disco king of Sacramento, and then you were brought down to Los Angeles, and you had Rolls Royces at your disposal. And so, both of you had more of an experience for a longer period of time than I ever had. But so like I said, even for the hour I had it, which I guess I'll get mine out of the way since it was quick. And then I'll let you guys tell yours, because your stories are going to take longer. I've done two documentary films. One was called The Death of Del Paso back in like 2015, I think. And the other one was Made in the Shade. And these were both films based around Sacramento. One was around North Sacramento, the Del Paso road. And the other one was about the urban forest, which Sacramento's got a very famous. It's called the City of Trees. It's famous for it. So, anyways, the first documentary won the Sacramento Film Festival, which premiered at the Crest. And so, so going up on stage and receiving the award, just that experience of being on stage at the Crest Theater and getting the award presented to you was a high. It was better than any, booze or drug or anything else I had ever, experienced in my life. It was like being the popular kid at school kind of thing. Everybody in the place wanted to talk to me. They all wanted to talk to me afterwards. There was an after party and everything else, and it was a high. And the same thing kind of happened with the second documentary. Actually, like the mayor of Sacramento and a couple other politicians, some notables showed up for that film, which was also premiered at the Crest. And they had a big after party at one of the restaurants downtown afterwards. And so again, it was like being the center of attention with some powerful people kind of thing. And so that attention, although I'm a little bit of an introvert, like I said, it's a powerful thing, having people want to talk to you, getting that attention from people. So that was my brief experience with it, and I quickly realized from both of them just that this is like a drug. this could warp you. This could turn you, if you experience this, especially at too young of an age. I could see how this could really twist a person and alter their perception of reality, and maybe not a good way if you're not a real grounded person, or you don't have people around you to, kind of ground you in the right way. And there's so many horror stories, famous people, the 27 Club and things like that lose their lives, or even worse. So yeah, anyways, that was my experience. And so Paul or Zandine, I don't know, whichever one of you want to go first and tell us your story.
Zandine, you want to tell your story? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, am I muted on my right side up?
There we go. There we go.
All right. I mean, for me, I mean, fame. I mean, I got to actually do what I wanted to do, and then I just, did something different. So, like, I just, as a kid, wanted to be inside that little box. Like when you watch your favorite TV show, and you wonder, how do you do it, or how did they actually do it? But for a viral moment, I'll just tell you, all that glitters is not gold. You know what it is? It's fake gold. And the reason why I say that is because I came down there with somebody who I guess was more secular, more in the church. So they weren't into the other side of things. I'll just say that way. So, and I was told by somebody this: if you go to a party with your lady, when you get to the party, she's going to go one direction, you're going to go another direction. They're going to show you a plate of poisons. You pick your poison, they're going to film you with your poison. And then when the time that party's over, you're so turned upside down, you don't know what happened, and they've got it all filmed. So told me to stay away from those parties. That's what happened. And the way I looked at it is, if I would have got, any further than I was supposed to, who knows what would have happened. But Phil, I believe in hometown heroes. And what I mean by that is, like, you're respected by your peers. Like, they know things that you've done, and like they know the documentaries, they know how intelligent you are, they respect you, and man, woman, or child, we that's all we really have at the end of the day. So whether it's in LA, if it's on TV, wherever, as long as your peers and people respect you. But as far as what you're saying, Paul, getting there and not kind of losing it, for me, it was, I wanted to actually do music more than I probably did acting. The acting, like, was more of a like a secondary thing. So, and I still like music, and I still do music. So I'm pretty happy, But in terms of if people measure success in terms of, if somebody comes up and asks you for your autograph, or that, um, all those feelings when once you go to LA and you do something, like, say, like, after WKP was over for a while, there would be times people, I mean, for many years after, people like, did they, and then once I start wearing my hair different or whatever, and you look different, it's like, oh, okay. So, but you, to have people like recognize you for something, miscellaneous, that's kind of cool. Or doing a concert in front of, 50,000 people or whatever, that could be cool if you're into that, but then there comes a time where what really matters to you is it the joy of being an artist, is the respect of your peers, all the above. So I could just say that I had a happy go at it. My sons are doing their thing. I'm happy to see them do their thing. That's what it is now.
Whoa. Paranormal Soul Brother. I mean, that sounds really good. And you got into your music and everything else. So that's pretty much cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely sounds like a positive. Paul, you told me in the past that you had a moment where you were coming back from Los Angeles, and it was a little bit more of an emotional experience for you.
Oh,
Not a
yeah.
positive one either.
Yep, yep.
Could you
Okay,
tell us about that, or
yeah.
maybe
Well,
lead up to it?
let me take you guys right from the beginning. Okay, so disco was a big thing. Okay, so I learned how to disco dance while I was in Germany, and disco hit Europe first, and then it went to the United States. So in 1976, when I came out of the army, disco was just starting in Sacramento. So here I am. I'm winning a bunch of contests. I'm coming out as number one disco dancer because I'm winning these contests. And one day the DJ Bill Lawley came up to me and he says, "Paul," he goes, "you're out here almost every night. You're dancing every freaking night from so and so time to so and so time, and freaking sun is coming up and you're still dancing." He goes, "Why don't you get a Guinness Book of World Records of disco dancing?" So I said, "Yeah, that would be a great idea." So my very first marathon, I danced 79 hours, and I got a lot of publicity from that. And then I became very, very popular. The second marathon that I did was 205 hours, which is 8.5 days.
Wow.
And they were just blown away. And the stuff was constantly on TV. They were filming me every day for 8.5 days. And I was doing this for Easter Seal. So Jerry Lewis, he knew about it. And he
Oh,
made some comments about it because he ran the Easter Seals.
nice, nice.
Yeah. So I would go into a nightclub and people were high fiving me. And I was like, "Yeah,
Oh man.
I'm the king, man." And they would throw out a red carpet. I had access to 3 Rolls Royces. And the Grand Island Mansion back in the 70s was called Club Lido. And 2 rich guys owned that mansion. And I went to one of the parties and they had, oh, let me get my. I went to
Yeah.
one of the parties and they had the tubes there and they had, oh, my thing's not, oh, there we go. They had the tubes there and they had Fleetwood Mac. They came to the party. So I got to bump shoulders with them. And I was on top of the world. Then one day on the news, on TV, they showed this guy, and I forget what state it was, but they were taking all the disco records out in the field and burning them. Disco died on that day. So here I am. I'm going to this club. I got my little entourage. I got my dancers, and we're going to do a dance show. When I get there, all of a sudden everybody's booing me. I go, "What the fuck is going on?" And they said, "Man, disco died." And people were wearing t-shirts that said "Disco sucks." I go, "What the fuck?" So I'm trying to do this show, and here comes this guy with his "Disco sucks" t-shirt dancing in front of me and making fun of me. I go, "What the hell?" And then I try to talk to people who would high five me when I was the disco king. All of a sudden, I find out I'm ostracized. Nobody wants to talk to me anymore. I was like the plague. And I was like, okay, from top of the world. And when disco died, I was I was freaking shit on the bottom of your shoe. That's what it was. Yeah. So I mean, that was the dark side of fame for me. They sent me down to Hollywood, and I made one commercial over there, and I was an extra in a movie called Grad Night. I also too I did like really tiny parts in Roller Boogie and Skate Town, USA.
Nice, nice.
Um, and I was trying to make it into the big time. Well, I get to the auditions and I see people who are multi-talented. I mean, they can sing, they can play instruments, they can dance, they can do this and they can do that. All I knew how to do was dance. But I was a good dancer though. But that's all I knew. I was dance. I mean, when I danced, I mean, sometimes I would slide on my knees. I did backflips. I didn't do splits. So Zandine, you got me on that one. I couldn't do splits, but I used to do backflips, all that shit, and people were
Nice.
impressed. Yeah, and there was one time too, and I was in Palm Springs, and I'm sitting next to a guy who's going to become a major star, and his name was Dennis Farina, which you would probably know of. He was in some of the mafia movies. He was,
He played a cop a couple times too, didn't he?
yeah. That's right. That's right. Um, he played Hillside Strangler,
Mm.
and so I'm talking to this guy. He hasn't made it yet, but he's in Hollywood to become a star. And I'm talking to him, and I'm bragging. I said, "Yeah, I danced 205 hours, 8.5 days, blah blah blah, all this and all that." Just talking shit. And Dennis looks at me, very humble man, and says, "Man, it sounds like you're gonna really make it." I go, "Yeah, I'm gonna make it, yeah." So when I was turned down on other roles in Los Angeles, I'm driving home to Sacramento, and the song came on with Gladys Knight and Pips. "You're leaving on midnight train to Georgia." and
Yeah.
I'm driving, and LA was too much for the man. And here I am, I'm driving, and I got tears coming down my eyes. I mean, I had people writing me like 8-page letters, all thinking that I was going to make it. Uh, so anyway, so I get back to Sacramento, you know, Hollywood. I mean, I was an extra in a couple movies, did the commercial, big deal. That ain't nothing. I go to Lake Tahoe. Oh, first off, I saw an Army recruiter, and before I knew it, I was signing on the dotted line. And 1979, I was going back into the Army. I get up to Lake Tahoe, and I meet these dancers of Jeff Kutash's dancing machine. They were impressed with my dance, and they said, "Would you like to join the troupe?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" He goes, "And also, too, why don't you live with us in our cabin?" So I met Jeff Kutash. They said, "This is Paul Del Roberts. He has a Guinness Book of World Records of disco dancing. He was in Ripley's Believe It or Not. We want him with us, with our team." And Jeff Kutash just goes, "Yeah, let's see what you can do." I dance in front of him. He goes, "Beautiful. You're part of the team." I said, "Yeah, right on." So here I am, and we were the first number to Cher. Cher had just went solo. So I got to meet Cher and everything else, and everything was happening. I mean, people were talking to me again. Now I'm with this very popular troupe, but I've already signed up for the Army. I was on the delayed Army program. And when November came up, I was off and running to become a 97 Bravo intelligence analyst. So, oh, and when I got to Korea, okay, they knew who I was. They said, "You're the dude, man, that has the Guinness Book of World Records in disco dance." And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Dude, you got to go to the Sportsman's Club in Seoul, Korea." I go, "Why?" They said, "There's this Puerto Rican guy. He wins all the contests. He thinks he's all that." I said, "Disco's dead." They go, "You're in Korea. It just started." I go, "What?" So I went down to the sportsman's club, and there's the Puerto Rican guy. He's doing his thing, and then nobody knew who I was in that club because they're Koreans. And I danced, and I got number one selected. And the Puerto Rican guy looks at me with his mouth open. He couldn't believe I just whipped his ass. And then they said, yeah, So I was popular in Seoul, Korea for the 1 year that I was there. But anyway, I saw the dark side of fame. I saw how people will love you and then hate you. There's something that you did, something that happened with the trend of disco when it died. Basically, you know, my dancing career was basically over, unless I had stayed with Jeff Kutash's dancing machine. But
Did
I
they
was
when you did your Guinness attempt, especially the 8 days, did they give you like at least a little time to shower each day? Did you go?
oh, you'll like this. You'll like this. Okay, so I have to do a number one. Okay, I had people, witnesses, walking me to the bathroom while I'm pissing, and they're watching me piss. But I got to keep my legs moving.
While you're going to the bathroom?
Yes, I had a 5 minute break on every hour. If I had to do a number two,
Yeah,
I had to do it during that 5 minutes. And if I ate, I was dancing, keeping my feet moving, and eating.
you got crap in 5 minutes.
Yes, yep.
Man, that's a boot camp shit.
Oh yeah, it was hell. It was hell. I mean, there was times where I felt like I was going to pass out, but they had this huge German woman, and when I was like ready to pass out, she would come up there and slow dance with me and keep my feet moving. She goes, "Keep those feet moving." I go, I am." And then I said, "Okay, you can let me go." I got my strength back. And then I start doing it. Boom. And they go, "Damn, that dude is going at it." But
What about a
yeah,
shower and a change of clothes? I mean, 8 days in the same clothes?
5 minutes, change clothes, no shower.
Oh man, you must have stunk after 8 days.
Oh yeah, 8.5 days. I stunk. Yeah, in fact, I still smell it.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah. And I had all these restaurants that promoted me. So I had all this free food. Oh my God. I was eating like a king. Yeah. Oh, I was the disco king. Yeah. So, but yeah, those were some crazy times, man.
Yeah, that is dark. You know the alfalfa story.
No.
You didn't like
Yeah, man.
alfalfa.
What's happening?
Yeah,
Huh?
everybody's familiar with our gang, right? With
Yeah,
Yeah.
alfalfa from our gang. Well, the last movie I think that he was in was It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed. He's in
Okay.
this. He's in the scene where they're at that high school dance or whatever, and he's dancing with Donna Reed, and Jimmy Stewart cuts in and tells him, well, "Oh, why don't you stop bothering people?" And then he goes over and he actually presses the button, which opens up that dance floor, and there's a pool underneath, and everybody falls into the pool. That's Alfalfa. He's a teenager or like in his early 20s at that point, right? That
Wow.
that's like his last on-screen performance, I think. What happened
Wow.
was shortly after that he was killed. He was murdered. And what happened was Alfalfa was a jerk. He was one of the worst people to be around. Period. He was the child actor, and because he was the big star on screen, he got a real attitude, big head, the whole bit. Even from the time he was a child, nobody could stand him. None of the other child actors could stand him, and anything else. And his parents kind of leaned on him, like the Jackie Coogan thing, and everybody else, right? But he just had a real bad attitude. Nobody really wanted to work with him or deal with him or anything else. And he ended up becoming an alcoholic, had some problems with that, but he was also like an avid hunter. And he had a friend he borrowed a dog from to go hunting. While he was hunting with this dog, the dog ran away. He put a sign out all over the area where the dog ran away from, uh, and somebody called and found the dog. So he had offered a reward. So he went and he paid the reward, got the dog back, brought the dog back to his friend that he borrowed it from, and then expected his friend to give him the money that he paid for the reward, like demanded the money. And he was apparently pretty liquored up during the whole process. Ended up in a fight with his friend. It got physical, and his friend shot him, killed him. And so if you go to his tombstone, which is somewhere in Hollywood, I forget, one of the bigger cemeteries, there's a carving of a hunting dog on his tombstone. But I don't think he was even part of the 27 Club. I think he was even younger than that when he died. But that's one of the child stars that fame just kind of warped him, turned him into a kind of a miserable person. Inflated his ego to the point where he just thought the world owed him something. And then if you go back to Jackie Coogan had his parents rip him off of everything all he earned child wise, and that's why the whole Jackie Coogan law was created, right? You're familiar with that, right, Paul? You're on mute, Paul.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I heard of it.
Yeah, and then that's where they're supposed to, if you represent your child, I think you're supposed to set at least 15% aside, which still doesn't seem like enough for that child's future. And I think everything else you can actually claim as taking care of the child, room, board, representation, everything else. But you're supposed to set at least 15% aside of his earnings or her earnings, whatever, for that child's future. I believe that was the Jackie Coogan law. So, that's one of the dark sides of fame, is that children have been, the first, but not the only, to be exploited. Obviously, animals, those without a voice have been exploited. Toto from The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, what's her name? Who played Dorothy?
Judy Garland.
Judy Garland. She tried to buy Toto, but the guy who owned Toto wouldn't sell her. Toto was actually a female dog, and wouldn't sell her. And I think he was an alcoholic, had a lot of problems. He ended up dying some weird way. There's all sorts of crazy stories with it, but yeah, fame can definitely warp a person. We're about I think 40 minutes before our halftime, so just to give everybody a 40-minute warning. If you want to say anything before halftime.
When we come back, I'll talk about Gary Coleman, Margaret Kidder, and Taylor Lautner.
Who is Taylor Lautner?
He played the werewolf in Twilight.
Is he still alive? Just when we need him.
Yep.
Where's the soul brother?
I don't know. Hey, behind the scenes, you were talking a little bit about the Three Stooges. I know you don't have everything out there, but you did hit on some really highlights about their downfall.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I can go over it again. I was, like you, a huge Three Stooges fan growing up. I sat and watched them with my grandfather as a little boy, along with Laurel and Hardy and the Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello and Little Rascals. I think that's what led us to that was we were talking about alfalfa earlier.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the Three Stooges were amazing performers. Oddly enough, most women don't like the Three Stooges. It seems to be a guy's thing, which
I know. Yeah, wise guy, eh?
yeah, exactly. It's definitely male humor, the slapstick, right?
Yeah.
But I always thought they were hilarious, and they were a family of Jewish brothers that grew up in the vaudeville circuit. For the younger not that any younger generation would end up watching our podcast, but before there were movies, vaudeville was the source of entertainment for poor people. It was considered low entertainment, right? Cheap
Right.
entertainment for people before the Nickelodeons and the movies houses really put vaudeville out of business. So I think Paranormal Soul Brothers is about to join us. Hey, Zandine.
And we're talking about the Three Stooges. Well, Phil is.
So so the Three Stooges came up through the vaudeville circuit and learned this whole art of slapstick, and they became the stars of what used to be called two-reelers. Two-reelers were played before movies started. Used to be traditional in the old days that when you went to see a movie, they played a cartoon before a movie started, or what they called a two-reeler,
I
which was
remember that. I remember
you know,
that.
which was a short film, normally a comedy. And so it seemed like the Three Stooges were just perfect for that. And their two reelers were a fan favorite, a crowd favorite. And the first of the three brothers to star in them were Mo, Larry, and Shemp. Shemp was my favorite because he just was like the scaredy cat of the three. He always was had the nerves and the jitters, and just he was hilarious. But he turns out he was that way in real life. He really had kind of a nervous condition, and he ended up bowing out and stepping away from show business because of that very thing. And the younger brother, Curly, who became probably one of the most famous of all the Three Stooges, um, took his place. And so Curly was the bald-headed one that most people remember. The Curly Shuffle and all that kind of thing became really famous. And Curly became the guy, but Curly ended up dying young, or like early 1950s. I think it might have been cancer, like you were saying earlier, Paul. Um, Curly also got a lot of abuse in public, things like that, because Curly got, if people hadn't actually watched Three Stooges, they would know that Mo was the straight guy and kind of the mean guy, but the leader of the Three Stooges. And so anytime the other guys would do something stupid, Mo would slap them around, poke them in the eyes, hit them with things. And so the public just thought they could do that too, especially to Curly. And Curly didn't like that. Curly was actually a pretty smart, articulate human being, and a great lover of animals. Did a lot of animal rescue type stuff. And he
Can I
had a hard.
stop you? Can I
Yeah, go
stop you
ahead. Go
right
ahead.
there, Phil? So, people from the public were walking up to Curly and putting their two fingers in his eyes and stuff
Poke,
like
poke,
that.
poke him right in the eye, smack him in the head
Oh,
with
man.
things, kick him. Yeah, because they would watch these two reelers and see exactly what Mo would do, and they wouldn't realize that this is a gag. Mo wasn't really poking them in the eye. What Mo would do is Mo would hit them on the forehead. That's how the gag was done. He would do it so fast that you would think he's poking them in the eye. They would bend down just in time. In the movie, you wouldn't see it. And of course, it's kind of like pro wrestling. You have to sell it. In the language of pro wrestling, you sell it. Oh, 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 ow, ow, right? It only works if the person who's getting the poke sells the poke. And it was the same thing with the Three Stooges. You could almost say they invented that, right? In wrestling they call that kayfabe. But so yeah, the people in public didn't know any better, so they would really go up and poke the Stooges in the eyes,
Oh,
and
that's terrible.
happened many times. They needed bodyguards really, but they didn't have them. They were very underpaid. They didn't get a lot of money for those two reelers. They made enough to be able to buy modest homes, by no means like mansions or anything else. They were not big stars, but they had modest homes in Los Angeles. And after the two-reeler thing kind of ended, which was around the early 1950s, their heyday was over. Curly died. Shemp came back into the picture for a very brief period of time, and then he died unfortunately too. And then they brought in somebody who was unrelated to them to kind of keep it going for a little while. His name was Curly Joe. Into the 1960s, late 60s, I think they try to come back. Uh, this was only after what had happened was, for anybody who doesn't know that, I Love Lucy, I believe, was the first comedy sitcom for television, right? So like early
Yes.
1950s, these two reelers were never
Yes,
made.
you
Yeah, the two reelers were never made for television. They were made for the beginning of movies, like the old cartoons. The first
Right.
situation comedy, for television was I Love Lucy. The Honeymooners were kind of right in there too, but I'm not. I don't. I think the Honeymooners was more of like, it was Jackie Gleason's Big Band Hour, and that was a skit on that Jackie Gleason's Big Band Hour that then turned into a show of its own. But it was, if you actually look at the way it was shot, it was nowhere near as professionally done as I Love Lucy. Just as funny, I think. But anyways, I think I Love Lucy was the real first TV sitcom. So, anyways, that was early 1950s. By the time the 1960s came around, television was putting movie theaters out of business. It used to be that there were like 2, 3 movie theaters per town. Movie theaters were closing because people were staying home and watching television. And as a result, the television needed more and more content, kind of like YouTube, right? They need more and more content. Well, well, they were, the moguls and all that. They're like, hey, what about those old two reelers? Can we start putting those out there? And that's when they started putting the old Bugs Bunny cartoons and all that.
Roadrunner. Roadrunner.
Roadrunner, all this stuff. They started putting these in the on television. Those started all out as two reelers, from Steamboat Willie, the Mickey Mouse stuff, all that stuff. They started putting it on television. Well, they did the same thing with the Three Stooges, and they sold the entire Three Stooges collection for television for the sum of like $11 million.
Wow.
And the
Wow.
and this is like early 1960s, late 50s, early 60s when they did this deal. So this is a monumental sum of money back then, right? Huge amount of money. The Stooges got zero of that money, nothing. They didn't have a deal, they owned nothing. They didn't own those two reelers. They had no rights to them. So the studio got all the money. The Stooges got nothing. But with the popularity that was gained by them putting those old two reelers into syndication on television, there became a demand for Three Stooges merchandise and for Three Stooges appearances. So the Moe and Larry, who were elderly at this time, they were in their 70s. They started doing like public appearances on television, things like that. And they came back and they hired another guy. I forget this guy's name. I don't think this was Curly Joe. This might have been another one even after him. And they started doing some very, very low budget movies at that point of the elderly Stooges, kind of like going to national parks on vacation type thing. And, just to make a little bit of money, just to do what they can to capitalize on the Stooges fame, which was the second coming of the Stooges, really. They were famous when those two reelers were first made, and then 30 years later, when those two reelers were sold to television, they had kind of a rebirth. A whole nother generation had discovered them, but they didn't get a dime of that $11 million. So that's another dark side of fame tale right there. Ebony
Was that other?
Costello.
Was it?
Go ahead.
Was the other person Curly Howard, or was
Might have been.
yeah?
They because Curly was such a popular character, they used that Curly in Curly Joe, and I think they used him in the last guy's name too that they brought in, because Shemp. I loved Shemp. I thought he was my favorite. Although I loved Curly too. Shemp, there was just something really funny about Shemp. Um, Curly was overwhelmingly popular, and so when they wanted the Three Stooges, he just became synonymous with the Three Stooges. So they always felt like they needed to replace Curly with another overweight bald guy, or crew cut, not bald, but the crew cut. That curly crew cut that he had. So yeah, Curly Joe was kind of big, barrel chest, a little bit overweight kind of guy with the crew cut. And I think the last guy they had in the late 60s was similar. Nobody really quite looked like Curly, but, at a glance. But, one of my favorites was Abbott and Costello. And Abbott and Costello had a television show too. They actually got paid for their television show because they were still young enough to capitalize on it. They were younger than the Stooges, so they made television they made movies during the golden age, right? So you saw them in their what is it? Abbott and Costello meet Dracula, Abbott and Costello meet the Wolfman, those kind of those
Invisible
ones.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, which were great, but they were also just around at the beginning of television, like the I Love Lucy era, where they had their own television show, which wasn't bad, and so they got to cash in a little bit of that just before Lou Costello died. Which Lou Costello's last words at the hospital were, "That was the best bowl of ice cream I ever had," or something to that effect. This is last words.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they died broke too. No money.
That's sad.
So many of that era just didn't. They would get screwed by management, or same thing with Laurel and Hardy, another famous pair that ended up dying broke.
That's sad. I mean, and look at more recent times. You got Gary Coleman.
Oh yeah.
What you talking about, Willis? But yeah, he has severe health issues. There was financial mismanagement.
It's from his parents, and that was that like we were talking about Jackie Coogan, right? So the same thing is his parents took advantage of him from the beginning, and as a result, he was paranoid about that, right? So I mean, that kind of warped him into not trusting anybody for the rest of his life, and his prime earning years were his childhood years, right? Because at a certain point, let's just face it, as child actors have a limited shelf life. Once they get to a certain age, nobody wants them anymore. There's very few actors that make it into adulthood. I think Christian Bale's one of the few. There's a few others I think that I'm leaving out. I'm sure there are. But Christian Bale comes to mind, where he was a child actor that then became a big star. Very few others actually do that, especially television child actors. Very few ever go do anything besides that.
Like the guy in the Lost Boys that we make fun of all the time.
Which one?
He was the guy who went into the comic book store.
Oh yeah, Corey Haim.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one that had terrible. He's the one who said that he was raped by Charlie Sheen.
Yes.
Yeah, he claimed to have been raped by Charlie Sheen on the set of Lucas, I think was the name of that movie. And his other buddy, there was a TV show, The Two Coreys.
Yeah, the two Coreys, and he tried to say the other Corey tried to seduce him,
or the other Corey allowed it to happen, or the other Corey made a movie about pedophiles in Hollywood, and that movie got hacked or leaked. So they ended up like losing all the money with it. But that other Corey is still around. What's his name? Corey Feldman.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he actually does like he tours and does music. He was good friends with Michael Jackson, and he kind of like rips off a little bit of Michael Jackson's look with the fedora and some of the dance moves, and tries to do some music. And I can't tell whether he's doing a gag or not, to be honest with you, because if you've seen some of his performances on stage, it always turns into him yelling at his band.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah, and like at every show, and so it almost seems like a
Yeah,
it's,
he
you gotta
makes
watch it.
mistakes.
Shit.
He makes mistakes and blames it on his band.
And
Yeah.
so it almost seems like a performance piece, like a gag. Like, have you ever
Crazy.
seen you know who Joaquin Phoenix is? I'm sure
Yeah,
everybody
yes,
knows who it is,
yes,
right?
yes.
Did you ever see the movie he did called I'm Still Here?
No.
Yeah, he did a documentary which was actually a mockumentary, right? It wasn't a real documentary called I'm Still Here, right? Now, this documentary that he did, somebody followed him around with a camera where he decided to stop his acting career and start a career as a rapper, right? But
Oh man. Oh my God.
he maintained a straight face. He never laughed. He played it 100% like he was serious, right? And he went on. He went to Puff Daddy. He showed up as Puff, and he tried to get Puff Daddy to produce him. And Puff Daddy called him out. He's like, "Are you fucking with me? Are you fucking with that?" And he was like, "No, he's dead serious." And Puffy was just like, "I can't produce you." He goes, "I got somebody who could help you, but I can't produce you." Right. And then he went on Letterman, and he actually got into like a fight with David Letterman. To the point where like he insulted Letterman. Letterman threw him off the show, kind of thing. And people weren't you're not really, honestly, for the first half of the movie, I wasn't quite sure what I thought it was real. I thought, I'm like, is he
Oh
losing his
shit.
mind? Because he grew a beard out and he was wearing dark sunglasses the whole time and he was
Oh
losing it.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
whole time in the movie, he's browbeating, like verbally abusing his personal assistant so bad. You're like, oh, he's a monster. Like this guy's horrible. Right. And then at the end of the movie, this is where it was really brilliant. If you go back and watch it, at the end of the movie, his personal assistant is so fed up with him, just verbally abusing him and beating on him so much that Joaquin Phoenix is passed out drunk in the bedroom, and his personal assistant goes in there and shits on him.
Oh my God.
And and all of a sudden, Joaquin Phoenix wakes up and he goes, "Did somebody fucking shit on me?" He goes, "Did somebody human fucking shit on? Is this human fucking shit on me?" And he wakes up and he flips out. He starts like physically beating the shit out of the guy, and it's
Oh my
it's
God.
really
Oh my
funny.
God.
If at that point, I knew it had to be a gag, like it couldn't be real. But they did it so well that it had me going for a while. And I tell you, it's brilliant. I mean, but it had a lot of people fooled for a long time.
Oh my God.
Um,
That's
and then,
crazy.
yeah, great little piece of film right there because he fooled so many people with it. I just thought, boy, that was great.
Hey, on the dark side of fame, when we were talking about Gary Coleman, here's one that you guys, I don't know if you know about, but his wife, they suspect her of pushing him down the stairs in which he died. They're saying Gary Coleman's wife killed him.
I remember hearing something about that. I also remember her like trying to sell off some of his stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
some things like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, she was trying to take all his money.
There's God, do you know the guy who wrote Rainbow Connection?
No.
Oh God, remember Smokey and the Bandit?
Yep, yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, do you remember the Big Enos and Little Enos?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. Well, Little Enos is Paul Williams,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Oh, Paul
Paul.
Williams. Okay, I know you're
Okay,
talking
so
about.
yeah, so Little Enos is played by Paul. Paul Williams is a very well known songwriter.
Right,
Right.
He
right.
wrote just an old fashioned love song, and he also wrote Rainbow Connection, right? Which everybody
Okay.
knows Rainbow Connection, right? So this guy was like one of the greatest songwriters from the 1970s, and uh, and he was, he's not a very tall guy of
No,
stature,
not at
right?
all.
But in the 1970s, he was everywhere, from hosting talk shows to whatever. And I watched a documentary on him. They showed some great clips from all the different movies that they had him in, and all the songs that he wrote. And it was a very very good documentary. But one of the scenes that was kind of funny was his wife, and I don't know if they're still together, but it was a wife during the documentary was driving him around touring, and he was doing the casino gig type thing, and his wife, like, he married a fan, right? And you got to think, it's like the guy's like, I don't even know if he's 5 foot tall. He's just not a big guy, right? And so I guess his, even being famous and maybe having, I don't know how much money he had saved or whatever, but he just probably didn't have the best pick of the litter as far as like who he could end up with. But this woman was an absolute lunatic.
Oh
And
no.
the amount of like attention and validation she needed, throughout like this tour of like, maybe I should get some credit for booking this gig for you. Don't, I mean, like every little thing, like, that is just the fact that his name was spelled correctly on the marquee, it's like, well, that was me. Well, that was me. This or that, everything. I'm like, oh my God. Like, talk about the maintenance involved in massaging this woman's ego or making sure that she's okay, honey. Like,
Oh,
this is exhausting. I felt so
oh my
bad for
God.
Paul. I'm like, this is um
Mm.
you know yeah, talk about a dark side of the fame thing. I'm like, Paul Williams, you should have went over to Thailand or maybe Korea and married yourself an Asian woman. Screw these big American women.
Oh my god. Oh, here's another one. Margaret Kidder. Okay, she played
Margot Kidder.
Margot Kidder. Yes,
Yeah.
she played Lois Lane in Superman. Very popular actress, and she had bipolar disorder, and she wasn't getting it treated. So, in a 1990 car accident, she was partially paralyzed. So she had a lot of different issues. She was now in financial ruin because of that car accident. She had a mental breakdown, and they found her in some bushes, all dirty and nasty. The police did. And she eventually died. I
I
mean,
remember that.
yeah.
Oh, must be God.
She she
Oh
she
man.
she was married to Richard Pryor, I thought.
Yes, I guess. I think so.
For a brief minute, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
That's sad, man.
here's one of you
I know
guys.
you're gonna say that.
I'm sorry, Taylor Lautner. Okay, the women loved this guy. He played the werewolf lead in Twilight. So you were either team, uh,
Jacob or Team Edward, right?
yeah, team Edward or team Jacob or whatever. And he was Jacob Black. That's his name. Anyway, they thought he was going to be a big star. They put him in lead actor status with a movie in 2011 called Abduction, and he failed miserably. They said he was a very poor actor. Plus, he was typecast. Everyone, when they look at him, they think of him without a shirt on, muscles, and he was Jacob. Yeah, so uh, he lost it all because he was not a good actor. They He was getting body shamed because he wasn't keeping up his body. So they made fun of his muscular appearance that was now gone. Um, and with the online body shaming, he started hiding in his house. He was afraid to leave his own house. He's now not really making any movies. He they said he's done a few cameos and he's more like an extra now. So here you are at the highlight of your popularity as a movie star and then shot down just like that. So,
You remember Anne Heche?
uh-uh.
Anne Heche, and she was married to Ellen DeGeneres, or involved with her, and then she and Anne Heche or Anne Heche,
Yeah. Hesh.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Okay.
she like lost. God, what are the
Yeah.
details of she lost her mind. I mean, she went off the rails, and ended
Well,
up,
she had already started that way, Phil. As far as even when she was young, you saw the interview when she was young, and she said like she would pretend she was like a person from another planet, for a long time, and she was giving an interview a story something like that, saying that's how she would cope, and it wasn't until she got older that she could even go out of her personality. She's just giving some story like that. You remember that?
yeah, yes,
That
yeah.
interview she gave where she was because she started out, but then by the time she had gotten older and been through that relationship, she was really saying some
Yeah.
off key things.
There's see, well, didn't like Holly Berry run her car? That's the NH drove her Mini Cooper into a residential home, causing the vehicle and home to catch fire. Right? Um, that was
I mean,
but did,
R.I.P.
did,
But
did, did,
that's
did,
crazy.
didn't Halle Berry do the same thing, like run her vehicle through like some kid's backyard party or something? Only
Oh
she survived.
yeah. I heard something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, David Just or something. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's it? What the girl from TLC, Left Eye
The Left
Lopez?
Eye. Yeah. She
Didn't
burned
she?
down Andre Rison's house
Yeah,
while he was
she
in a football
burnt
game.
his house down and then ended up like driving off some road in South America.
Oh yeah. Well, the other thing about her too is right at that time, she was pretty. They try to associate that with her movement, like she was down there with that mineralist and supposed healer, the guy called Sabi, and she was, coming back with talking about free medicine and helping the people and stuff like that, and they were saying that she just started become visionary, and so they said that she said mentioned like something a scenario similar to her death the night before, but like um there was just so much like I don't know if it stemmed from that Andre Rison incident, but she had like a lot of bad energy going with her. Not saying it was hers, but like what was associated with her brand. But
Yeah.
she was trying to turn that around. She started fasting. She did like a 40-day fast or something. And she was saying that like after the 20th day, she started having these epiphanies and she was like supposed to be on like a good path, but
So Phil Spector, I'm thinking, absolute nutcase, right?
Oh yeah.
That guy, he brought that one woman home and then shot her and killed her, right? And apparently she wasn't the first person he had assaulted that way. Just the
Hey,
first one that
I
he
got I
actually
got
killed.
one better than that. Phil, I'm going to put this one on you because you probably are aware of it.
Yeah.
Fatty Arbuckle.
Oh, the rape.
Yeah, with the icicle.
The rape. Yeah.
Yeah, and he killed her.
That's a gory, graphic, ancient, horrible thing from old Hollywood.
Hmm.
yeah. Well, I mean, I got two for you. I got Al Green. When we were little, Al Green was doing
Coffee.
really good as a soul singer. Al
Awesome.
Green.
The man, the
Crooning, and
Reverend.
then he would have these supposedly have these girlfriends. They said he had many girlfriends, and one of them, she caught him And the way the story goes, he was in the bathtub taking a bath, and she came in and burnt him with hot grits.
Oh, I heard that. I remember that.
thought it was
Yeah.
Gave third degree. Burned him with hot grits.
hot
And
grit.
he changed his life after that. He got into, gospel, and he disappeared for a while because people was like, what happened to Al Green? So, well, there was another thing, the Ohio Players. Anybody know the Ohio Players?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, that band, when you look on the cover of Honey, when you seen Honey, you seen the lady in the fire hat with the fire hose.
Yeah.
And she was basically naked, but she had the hose around her. You couldn't see that. But the way the rumors went from Ohio Players, that this lady in the studio, she got killed when they poured hot honey on her. She disagreed, and they said she had an argument, or you could hear her screaming in part of the recording. Used to be, kids say all kinds of stuff.
I remember that. That.
They used to say that. So I mean, I don't think that was true. But then what about Shirley Temple? Shirley Temple was really outspoken about how they treated her. She said as a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, her and her mother came in. Yeah,
she became an ambassador to some country. Her name became Shirley Temple Black, and she was an ambassador to some country in her elder age. But as far as craziness, James Brown, I heard was off the hook, kind of.
I've actually met him several times. I mean, and he was really nice to me. So I mean, I like you say is he was accessible. I mean, I felt like I ate a lemon or something. Like when I was like so close to him, talking to him, I felt like I literally got like a chill.
Mm-hmm. That's my uncle.
But, I see what happened to him at the end. I mean, but you know what? Like shit like that, where they show you going off. Like all those guys, I don't know how they keep it together that long, but when you start getting high, man, like I say, they pick your poison, and you start taking that poison, they gonna film it, and they got you. They got him too.
Well, they call PCP Sherm because of Sherman Helmsley, right?
Angel does, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of messed up when they named it after.
Actually in LA. A lot of the gamers, they used to do, embalming fluid, call it Sherm stick. That dip, they call it Sherm stick. Yeah, or like Angel Dust, whatever. Getting wet. That's just some of them guys used to say. But
that always scared the hell out of me. I seen too many saw that after school special where the girl smokes it and then jumps out the window and starts cutting herself. It doesn't hurt. I'm like, hey, man, I don't want to touch that.
No inclination whatsoever.
No.
To try it.
No interest. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, quick story about Angel Dust. No, I got a friend, Mahamoud, who
and a busted van. Go Wankers, chasing back.